Well, welcome everyone, and we are live, and it is Facebook Live night again. Only 2 nights ago we had Facebook Live, and here we are again. It's so awesome that we all can get together this way, so quickly and easy, and all like-minded people coming together to discuss and think about a subject or subjects that we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm just going to wait for everybody to kind of pop in before I start get going here. Somebody says, "Hey, from Digby." Hello from Digby. That sounds like in Nova Scotia to me. I'm here. I don't see people's names on my end because I'll show you what I see sometimes because I'm using a program called StreamYard. And it shows me if you don't give StreamYard permission to display your name, I can't see it. So now I'll show you someone else like Nadine, who is in Spirit Talker Tribe, is here, and she says hi, but she's given StreamYard permission to show her name on these streams. But otherwise, I'm not sure who everybody is. But there's a bunch of people coming in like Brenda, Delia, Angie, Shauna, Darlene Trask, Verna, Jennifer Christian, Donna Young, Karen Erickson, and a whole bunch of more people. John Mormill, Chanel Sue Peltier. Thank you for all joining me this evening. I had some really great subjects tonight to talk about. Well, guess what? Today is a big day. Today is the launch of the Spirit Talker Tribe online course, which is a 12 module 11-month and 1-week online course that you take with me called Spirit Talker Tribe. And I'm going to talk about what that is first before I get into the topics. Maybe I should just tell you what the topics are tonight. Well, one is we're going to talk about angels, which is kind of cool. But we're going to talk about spirit guides and what they are, how they act in our life, how we connect to them, how we communicate to them, totem or spirit animals, and how they could work with us if we're open to it. And then last but not least, but I also talk about angels. And I actually have some phenomenal audio clips that I want everybody to go and listen to. And I'm going to tell you how to go to listen to these. Now, being a spirit talker and a psychic medium for all the years that I've been doing this work, I mean, hearing spirits is pretty normal for me. But what a lot of people don't know is sometimes when spirits talk to me, I can actually record them. I can actually record people saying things to me. I can record conversations with spirits sometimes. It's very normal for me to hear a spirit here and there. Mostly how I hear spirits that are coming through for people is in my mind, my thoughts, like verbal thoughts coming into my mind. And they're very soft and subtle and just placed in there very gently. Sometimes when I hear spirits when I'm in different spaces and places, I can hear them with my ears, like talking like someone else. And actually, often when I'm out doing things, I bring a little digital recorder with me and I record because even though I'm with people, because maybe I'm on a different energetic vibration, because my energy is a bit higher than other people's, I believe I'm able to hear them that much easier because of that. Doesn't mean I hear them all the time. No, I still bring that just in case they're speaking in the background and I actually record them. And I got some what you call EVPs, electro voice phenomena, but I know who they are because it's the same voice that I pick up a lot of the time. One of those voices would be my spirit guide, Victoria. So, and I have some audio clips of her speaking about a few different things. But we're not going to play them in the live, but I'm going to tell you where you can find them so you can listen to them. So you can hear my guide's voice speaking to a spirit who is earthbound, who I was trying to help transition into the light of the other side. And I mean, this stuff is very real for me. This isn't like, fictitious to me in any way. This is like super real, and I honor it because I know how important it is. And I know, I mean, spirits are absolutely real to me. It's not like I think I'm crazy. I know I can record them and they can do all kinds of things, and they're absolutely there. And they're not just there for me. They're there for everyone. But as soon as we start bridging the two worlds and making connections, people have all kinds of things like fear or phobias or anxieties about what spirit may or may not be. And they maybe know how to deal with that or handle that, or even how to clear their energy in their space. So I teach that all in Spirit Talker Tribe through some of those 12 modules. If you want to know what those 12 modules exactly are for Spirit Talker Tribe that I will be teaching throughout the year, starting October 1st, you can go to my website. Let me just see, I have it here. You can go to my website and go to sean-leonard.com and you click on the Spirit Talker Tribe tab. And then there's all the modules that I teach throughout the year for Spirit Talker Tribe Year 1 are listed there. And now is actually time that you can register for the course for the year. And maybe people know, maybe you don't know, but if you sign up in the first week, in the first 7 days of Spirit Talker Tribe, and we had a lot of people sign up earlier today, which is super awesome because we have incredible people from the past that are with us, and then there's new great people who are going to be learning some things. But when you sign up for Spirit Talker Tribe, in the first 7 days, you're entered in for a draw for a personal reading with me. And then after that 7 days, there'll be another great draw, but I'm not going to tell you about it just yet because it's a secret surprise. And I like surprises, and I want you coming back to see what the next surprise is so that you'll find out what you could win if you register even in the second week. The registration for Spirit Talker Tribe actually closes on September 30th. And then nobody can sign up for Spirit Talker Tribe at that point. The doors are closed, and all of my attention, just like I'm giving you tonight, is dedicated to my students and teaching them about those modules. Now, a module comes out once a month in Spirit Talker Tribe on the first of the month. And then we have Facebook Lives typically every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. And now those Facebook Lives, if you can't attend a Facebook Live like you are tonight. Now, I just did one 2 days ago. If you go into the group and click on the announcement section, you'd be able to go down in the group itself and see the last Facebook Live that I just did. And you'll be able to do that as well in the Spirit Talker Tribe student group when and if you join. Even in this group, if you couldn't make it here tonight, I'm hoping that you'll find this new Facebook Live poking around in the announcement section, because usually that's where it is. That's where I put all the files for you to find stuff. So it's in the announcement tab of the Facebook group itself. And then, as we go through the year, we learn a new module, and I take question answers, and I do group coaching on people of achieving successes with each module. And with the questions that people submit to me, everybody can learn from. Everybody can learn from the questions that I submit. And whether it's your question or someone else's question, but I read it, who it's from, and sometimes some people don't want their name talked about. So they just say, please don't use my name, but could you ask this question or answer this question for me in the Facebook Live? And I do that as well. Now, another cool thing is if you don't have Facebook and you just hate Facebook, I mean, you may be here, you may be on YouTube watching me right now, but I also stream privately to YouTube for people who don't have Facebook. Now, you wouldn't be in the Facebook group where I put a lot of stuff, but in the YouTube group, you can still have the Facebook Lives, because what happens is after I do the live, I have a list of people who aren't in Facebook that I email the Facebook Live I just did so that they can still participate whether they like Facebook or not. But Spirit Talker Tribe, again, is one module a month on my website. If you want to check out the modules, you can register now up till September 30th. And the Facebook Lives, you can watch live, or if you can't watch them live, you can watch them at a time that's convenient for you. So I want you to know it's not like you have to dedicate a certain amount of time on Wednesday evenings. You've got to be there. And if you miss it, you've missed out. You don't miss out. You can watch it the next day or the day after. And the exercises you have all month to do for each module. So there's different exercises for each month as we go through Spirit Talker Tribe. And I have one for you tonight. And it's actually, maybe most people have already known about it or they already have it, but it, again, in the Spirit Talker Tribe interest group of where we are, I have put a free spirit guide meditation in the announcement section. If you go to the announcement section tab, when we're done the Facebook Live tonight, you'll be able to go there and download it and use it. Now, in the course, I have a different meditation that I give people that is a little bit more in depth, a little bit more deeper, a little bit longer, and helps people also to connect to their animal totems, not just their spirit guides. And I don't know where we should start, actually. Maybe we should start with spirit guides tonight, because I think I got this covered about Spirit Talker Tribe. I want to make sure everybody knows what Spirit Talker Tribe is, the course that goes on all year. But this month is about free teachings, to give you a taste of what it's like to be part of Spirit Talker Tribe. And as you can see with everybody making comments in the group that are here right now, I mean, everybody is like super cool, nice people. We have I think the people that are drawn to this, that are drawn to spirituality, connections to spirits, I mean, they're typically good people. There's very few people that I ever have to deal with in a negative way, like removing them from the group or anything like that. There's always a couple in the bunch, but 99.99% of everybody that comes to Spirit Talker Tribe are really good people, and they got good hearts and they good intentions, and they genuinely care about everybody. Because if you weren't surrounded or connected to the light or loving energy or higher level vibration of energy, you wouldn't even care to be here tonight. So the fact that you are here means that you are coming from a good space, that there's something inside you that is speaking to you, that wants to express itself, that spirit wants you to know, because that's how they get your attention, is guiding you to certain things like this, so that you can learn more about yourself, so you can discover yourself, your own spirit, your spirituality, and your connection to the spirit world, which includes your spirit guides, your angels, your spirit totem animals. And a lot of people don't even know what spirit totem animals are. It's kind of an indigenous culture thing, but it's not just indigenous culture of North America. There's other continents and other places, and the Aborigine people and other places all over the world that, they're indigenous people, the first peoples that have connection to animals, and there would be a connection to their spirit and the animal itself. And I'm going to talk about that again tonight too, and we'll get more into that, about how they could show up in your life and what purpose do they serve, as long with your spirit guide as well. Oh, I have to follow notes or I get lost. So I have a couple notes. I got to announce last week's winners of the book, the digital copy of Spirit Talker, the Language of Spirit book. I'm calling it the Spirit Talker Tribe book, but it's the Language of Spirit book. Was Susie Currott Deer, and she won the digital copy, and I sent her a link so that she can download it. And that's anybody that would win it moving forward. And every Facebook Live with the people who are engaged in comment, especially the people that say, hey, I don't have your book, I'd really like to have your book. Those people that say, hey, I don't have your book, get entered into a draw, and then I pick a name, and then one person will win a digital copy every Facebook Live that you come. And someone else won a t-shirt. And I have a couple t-shirts, like one that I wear, and I love this shirt. This is a brand new one. I just put it on today. It's got super soft material. I'm running a little short on them, just so you know, but I also have tank tops. And I got a lot of these, the Spirit Talker Tribe tank tops. And anyway, I'm giving t-shirts away as well every Facebook Live. And the winner for the last Facebook Live is Edna and Tate. Congratulations to Susie and Edna. You're both winners from the last Facebook Live. And I'll draw new winners for this Facebook Live as going forward. And I'll announce that just before the next Facebook Live as well. And let me see, when is the next Facebook Live? Just so you know, and I'm looking for stuff for your people to kind of submit too. On Monday, September 13th at 9 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time, that is my next Facebook Live in the Spirit Talker Tribe interest group. And I'm going to be talking about dreams. If you have a really unique, odd, or dream that didn't quite make sense to you, and I would say, please email it to me. And if you're going to email your dream to me, let me just see here. The email address to email it to is Sean@Sean-Leonard.com. That is my student-only email list that only students have to send me things. Otherwise, everybody else has to go to another email. Only students can do that. But for the sake of receiving people's dreams that you would like to submit, for me to kind of work through and analyze for the next Facebook Live on Monday, September 13th, and I'm going to talk about the dream world. I'm going to talk about what your dreams can mean, the message they have, whether it's a spirit connecting or whether it's your spirit telling you something. And I'm going to help you understand that so that you can understand for yourself and maybe help somebody understand their dreams as well. But I'll analyze people's dreams in a sense. And as I do it, I'll help you make sense of what they mean. And you'll see the process for which I take when I'm understanding what your dreams are speaking to you about sometimes. So let's get started. Let's start talking about tonight's subjects. And tonight's subjects is spirit guides, animal totems, and angels. So spirit guides, what is a spirit guide? Maybe a lot of people do know, maybe some people don't know what a spirit guide is, but a spirit guide is somebody that you have chosen, prior to incarnating into this world, into this form. And to give you a little background on my belief system of sorts, which I think is like pretty much the reality of things, is that we showed up into this life. We came from the spirit world, and one day we will return to the spirit world. We've shown up in this life to live the best life that we can, to get to learn lessons, to go through things, to experience, things that you can't do on the other side, and overcome struggle, fear, strife, and come out on top, hopefully. I mean, some people may lose themselves in this journey and ultimately may end their life, but they're not lost. There's no spirits that are lost ever. They may become earthbound at some point, but that's kind of rare, actually, earthbound spirits. 99.999% of the people that do transition from their physical form to the spirit world will go into the light. And if you have not had the opportunity to talk or listen, I should say, to people's near-death experiences and what their experience was after they died, in all cultural faiths and religions and beliefs, there's a commonality in them all, and they all talk about the light. And the cool thing is what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is that the recording that I have from Victoria, maybe I'm getting a lot ahead of myself, but she talks about the light too. And you think it's an accident that a spirit guide's connecting to me, helping to help an earthbound spirit and expressing to him about the light, and the light is the way to go? Absolutely not. We come from light. The other side is light. When we transition from this world, we go through this incredibly, and I've seen it once when my dad passed away. A year after he passed, he came to visit me in my basement of my mom's home in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia. And I had this visitation dream, and it was super profound. And as my dad stepped out of this white light that was all encompassing him, he was wearing a long white robe, which I thought was ridiculous because my dad wouldn't be caught dead wearing a long white robe. He was a hunter, he was a military guy, he drank sometimes, but here he was, and I can't change what he was wearing, but that's what he was wearing. And he stepped out of the light, and I could see the light behind him. And it was like intense. At that point, when I saw that light, that moment, and I think that was the moment in my life that I became enlightened, literally, in the sense of becoming, psychic to the degree that I have been from that point moving forward in my lifetime. But that doesn't mean that you can't experience the light yourself in your own unique way or invite it into your life. And, after my dad died, I had a visitation. I was really angry with him because he had passed. And I tried to resuscitate him, but I couldn't. And I could see the light behind him. And all I could think about was moving into it because I knew that was my home. And I knew this physical world that we all live in was like the Matrix. It's a non-reality of sorts, that was real. And this is some place that we come to experience, to learn, to grow, to achieve different things as a spirit having a human experience. And, I even tried to walk past my dad to get to this place, and he wouldn't let me go. And he says, "No, Sean," he says, you can't come here. He says, "If you come here, you're not going to want to come back." And I even told him, I said, "Dad, I'll come back. Like, man, just let me go for a minute." And he said, "No." He says, "You won't come back." And I knew I was lying. He was like, he knew. I couldn't lie to him because even though I was saying words, he knew that if I would go there was no way you were getting me back, because I knew what it was going to be like. And he showed me what it would look like for my mom. Now, these are alternate realities, in a sense, of what could happen. And a lot of near-death experiencers experience this too, where they go to the spirit world and they're asked to come back to life, to physical form again, back into their body. And they say, "No, I don't want to come back. I want to stay here. This is like the best place I've ever been. I've never felt more peace. I'm surrounded by unconditional love, light, and my family, and the topography is incredible. I just want to stay here." And I never even got into it, but I saw it and I had the experience. So anyway, I feel like what my dad said, he says, "Sean," he says, "I need to tell you a few things. The reason why you're here in life is, you're going to be helping and serving people one day." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" He says, "You see the light behind me, you're going to be helping people understand this and where we go and where we come from." and you're going to be guiding people in life and reconnecting people here. I said, how the heck am I supposed to do this? He goes, you don't have to do anything, Sean. It's just going to happen to you. And he says, everything happens for a reason. And I said, why? Well, I said, why would you die? Like, why would you leave my life, Dad? Like, why would you leave my life at this point? And he said, Sean, the greatest gift of love I could give you as your father was to leave your life, because somebody had to show you the light. And we had a contract before you or I were born. And I was always the person that was selected and chosen by both of us, that I would be the one to show you the light again one day. And I'm like, well, okay. And he says, remember, you're going to be helping people. And then he showed me the reality of what it would be like if I left, and the pain and the struggle that my mom would go through if I had gone home to the spirit world. And it was like my mom was already grieving for the loss of my dad for for many years. But it would be another 7 years of grieving for her if I chose to go. But you know what? This is selfish of me, but even seeing her grieve and knowing that she would struggle really hard, I was still willing to go, because I knew no matter what, that she would be okay one day, because she'd be coming home with us. That no matter how much struggle she went through, she would be okay. And I justified it. And not that I, want to hurt my mom. I don't. But I understand everybody that makes a journey home, when they see that light and they see home, about the people they leave behind and the pain that they're going to carry and through life, and how long they're going to struggle with. They know how long that's going to be. And I still would have gone. And then he showed me what it would look for my brother. Now, this is funny here. My brother would get over me very quickly, because I used to torment the bejeebus out of my brother. But he was my brother. I don't blame him. But hopefully we miss me more now. And he lives actually in Calgary, Alberta right now. His name is James, as my father's name was James as well. So anyway, my dad touched me on the forehead, and I woke up on the couch. It was many years later that I started to become more spiritual, like I was speaking about in the last Facebook Live, where I started to pray and meditate and create space. And then I started to practice doing spirit guide meditations. And I was getting discouraged at first when I started doing the spirit guide meditation, because I was feeling like I was in a very high spiritual place, but I wasn't making a connection. And then after so many times of trying, because I would not give up. I wouldn't give up. I wanted to connect to my guide, and I kept going and I kept going. I kept doing meditations. And then one day, it wasn't that I saw my guide right away, but I was meditating and I felt somebody come into the room. And I heard a name, Sam, come into my mind. And then somebody grabbed my arm as I was meditating. And it was almost not scary, but my whole body got tingly. I just got all tingly, and I was like, oh my God, you're really here. And I was a little scared, but I knew I was safe. And I knew I had a guide, Sam. And then I remembered having a friend when I was a young boy named Sam, and I used to talk to my mom about him, about what we used to do together, how we used to play together. I used to play cards with him and all this. And I remember when I was a little boy having this friend who wore a long white robe for whatever reason, and he was Caucasian fellow, and he had curly, kind of dirty blonde brownish hair and piercing blue eyes. He would play with me, and then he said, Sean, one day, I remember the day he left me as a little boy, and it was like my imaginary best friend left me, and it was like my heart hurt when he left. And he said, Sean, I want you to know that I'm always going to be with you, but I can't be with you like this anymore. I have to go to the other side. I said, well, where are you going? He says, I'm always going to be with you. You're just not going to be able to see me the same way anymore. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you don't really understand this conversation. But when he touched my arm, I remembered him as a little boy again, and him being in my life. And then a big light showed up, and boom, he was gone. It was the same white light that I saw my dad step out of when I was 16 years old. And so anyway, what I'm trying to get to is that there's a purpose for every person. There is a sense for every person in life. We come here with a reason. And, sometimes our reason for being here is just to be the best mom that we can be, or the best dad that we can be, or, the best, therapist for your friends sometimes, whatever moves you in life. There's something inside you that loves it expressing itself through you, and you absolutely have passion and joy when you do it. And some people have several passions. Like I was young playing a guitar, and today I like to play poker sometimes, pretty good poker player. I play pool, not that great at pool, working at it. But, I absolutely love this work. And who I am as a spiritually connected person and helping and serving people. And this is like something that wants to express itself fully through me. And it's a lifelong thing for me. This is not something I'm doing just for a few years to give it a try. This is something I'm going to be doing till the last breath that I take until I move home back into the light of the spirit world, from which I know we all have come from. That I knew there was an intention in people that are connected to us, not just our ancestors, but we have spiritual guides like Sam. Now, much later in life, even though I did the meditation, I finally connected to him. I had a flash of him for a second of what he looked like in my mind, and I remembered him when I was a boy. I hardly ever see him visually anymore, but I don't need to, because I know he's with me. I know who he is. I know his name. I know what he looks like. I don't have to do a meditation all the time to see him. I can picture him in my mind for a second, and I can remember what he looks like. But the most important thing is that I talk to him, that I include him in my life, that I speak to him, and that I communicate to him. When I need help, or I need direction, or I need guidance, or I need a little support, or I need somebody to show up in my life to help me with something, they're listening, especially when you talk directly to them. Now, I have another guide named Victoria. And Victoria, I didn't meet till much later in life. And I'll tell you about how I met her. And I didn't even know I had another guide, Victoria, until much later. At that point, I only thought we ever have one guide. And then now I realize we could have like at least 2 or 3 spirit guides. You usually have one main guide who guides you through life. And you have one guide that guides you in a specific area of life. Maybe 2 of those guides will guide you in specific areas of life in different ways. And I met Victoria in a dream. This was probably about maybe 12 years ago. I'm just estimating when Victoria connected to me. I've been working as a psychic for 25 years-ish. And then Victoria stepped into a dream in the hills of Scotland. And I was there. She was wearing a long white robe, and I'm standing on the foothills of Scotland somewhere. And she walks up to me and she goes, "Hi, Sean, I am Victoria." And she has her little bit of like Gaelic accent. And I'm like, "Okay, Victoria, very nice to meet you. But who are you?" She goes, "I'm actually one of your guides." I'm like, oh, really? That's funny. Where have you been my whole life? Like, how come I didn't know you were here? Like, why are you showing up now? And she said, "Sean, I've always been here. You just didn't know I was here. But you didn't really need me until right now, because who you're moving into, this place of life that you're expressing yourself and your connection with spirit, is something that I'm very familiar with. And I've lived lives, many lives, expressing this myself in the world. And possibly, I don't know, she didn't say this, but maybe even other planets, who knows? So why would I pick her? Considering who I am and what I do, I would need a guide that maybe somebody who is pretty psychic herself, understands the universal language of spirit, and understands the levels of energy. Because I've actually had her come in many times and help me with spirits in these different levels of energy. The higher level energies are pretty much easier because I can connect to the people. I don't need Victoria's help to connect to people in the light. She's within the light, and I can connect to those people. And the readings I do for people in the sessions are all people in that space or place. But occasionally, I've been places where Victoria has showed up, where there was an earthbound spirit, somebody that has not moved on. For whatever reason, they have not moved on. And the clip that I put into the announcement section for you to hear, you actually hear Victoria's voice speaking to this earthbound spirit. And you're going to hear his voice too. And his name is Howard Carter. Now, when they speak sometimes, when I hear them with my ears, they have a more breathy voice. And when I recorded Howard Carter, he's like, "Howard Carter," like that. I heard him like that. And I recorded him telling me his name. But I knew when I connected to this man who was on an island in Nova Scotia called McNabb's Island. And I don't know really what happened to him, but I know there's a lot of history there. There were ships that were put there, and there was hundreds of people that died of cholera because, like COVID, they were isolated to the island when there was an outbreak on the ship way back in the day on the USS Enterprise, or not the Enterprise, I'm just joking. I think it was the USS something. I don't know why the name of it offhand, but I know there was a ship on the island. I think he might have been one of the people that had cholera and died on the island. And for whatever reason, I think his family lived on, and he was looking for his family, and his family wasn't there, and he hadn't left the island. He was still in this time warp of sorts because time there was different for him. So he came up to me, and I was actually saying, I can help you, and I was calling him forward so that I could help him. And you'll hear him telling me his name is Howard Carter. Now the cool part is Victoria shows up because I'm trying to create a light and help him transition into the other side. Now I do this very, very rarely in the work I've done. I could probably on two hands count the amount of times that I've helped somebody move on into the spirit world. And I've been doing this work for like 25 years. There's not ghosts everywhere. There is ghosts. I don't even like calling them a ghost. They're just people. They're earthbound spirits. We're earthbound spirits in physical form. And there's other spirits that are earthbound sometimes that are not in the physical form of a human body anymore. They do still have human shape and fingers and hair and a breath and you know, they have form, but not one that we can see in that sense. I've been literally had people like put their hand on me and put their hand on my back and grab my arm a couple times, not to scare me, but to let me know that they're there. There was one guy that was fairly scary, but he's probably the worst bugger I've ever connected to and all, but he was a pirate. There's a different story. He was just not good. If he was around today, most people would avoid the guy still. So there is some bad fellows out there, but they're still just people. And I know people would say, oh, they're evil demons or they're this and that. No. They're just people that have lost their physical form. He was killed on Point Pleasant Park, the pirate. He still hangs out there. I've gone there. I tried to help him, but he doesn't want my help. So I can't force a spirit into the light. But if a spirit does want to go, I will try to help. I genuinely will. And you'll hear Victoria talking to the spirit, Howard Carter, and telling him about the light. Because that's where we come from. And, is the light real? If spirits are talking about it, people that have died here in near-death experiences are talking about it. I've seen it myself. I know it's real. But there's people out there may not think that when we're gone, we're gone. This is it. It's just nothing. Which I think is kind of silly-mindedness, because we're energy and we have consciousness now. And when we don't have physical form, what makes you think that consciousness can still exist or have form in an energetic way? It absolutely does. It does now. There's really nothing even solid in this form. We're just energy vibrating. And it's constantly changing. Man, I was only this tall at one point. Now look at me. I've changed every day. Yet that's still that essence of myself is still in here. My hair is getting whiter. I get ear hairs now, and now I'm 49. I'm getting older, but the essence of that person that's always been here, even this physical form is changing. This person inside has gained wisdom, knowledge, and experience, and exists within this physical form, and it's my spirit, and it emanates into my aura. It emanates into my auric field. And when physical form, we still have an aura and an emanation of form in that aura of person itself. And same with animals. Animals and everything has form that has a spirit. The fish, the birds, everything. So when Victoria was talking to this man, she tells him about the light. And you'll hear her say in a breathy voice again. And the first part might be a little bit harder to hear, but she says like, the light way, the light is. So, because they don't have a loud voice all the time. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Most times they don't when I hear them with my ears. But I know when I hear them with my ears, I can record it. But I recorded her speaking to Howard Carter, and it was super cool. And it was because she was telling me where the light is, and that, the light is the way to go for the spirit. And he did transition and move into the light. And I know he's probably back with his family that he had lost so many years ago. And it's a gift to be part of something like that. And I don't get to be part of that very often, but when I do, I feel very, very honored and privileged that I helped somebody move into a higher level energy. And it's not uncommon as to what I do as a spirit talker, as a medium as well. Because when you're helping people heal through grief and other things, you're helping the spirit in the physical form move into a higher level energy, into a higher vibration. So they're not on a lower level energy vibration themselves in life. And that's people who struggle with depression or, a lot of anxiety and fear and things like that. That lowers your energy vibration. So when you start to move out of that and be present and mindful and kindness, compassion, and good, a loving person, you raise your energy. And then you actually kind of move any of the darkness away from you somewhat. I don't want to call it darkness, but the negative stuff of life, because you can step outside of it. It's like you shake the dust off your feet and you go, or you be the duck, and that, which are teachers as well. If you ever watch ducks fight, they have these little scruffles and they bat it out, and then they waddle off their own way. They shake their feathers off, and you think they're thinking about the fight they just had with the duck. Nope. They just let her go, and they operate in a higher level energy once again. They've gone through something where they had to face something that might have been negative to that duck, but they have a natural built-in way to be present. And we as people will cling to the memory and cling, and it could be PTSD, it could be trauma, it could be grief, many things that people hang on to. And as a spirit talker, you get to move people into a higher level energy. But I could go on and talk about this stuff because I just have a super passion for this. And that's why I do a course, is because there's just so much stuff that I want to talk about that I can't do it in one Facebook Live or two, or even teach you about making connections and what realistic connections are, and how to operate from a higher level energy as well. But your guides are with you. And I think one of the greatest gifts that you can do is to connect with them. Now, I do have a module in the course, that is in the year-long course, which talks about more in-depth stories and connections to my guides, and even talks about some more voices and things like that that I've recorded from them. But another one that I have, and this is going to lead me into this next part, but I better not go there yet. I'm excited to go there because Victoria's telling me to slow down. So I will say that, do the meditation until maybe you catch a glimpse of your guide. Don't feel like you have to, like if it takes a week or 2 weeks to make the connection, maybe dedicate some time to it every day. But when you make a connection, you don't feel like you have to do the meditation every day to connect to your guide. Once you hear their name and you know that it's coming to you and not from you, that it's come into your awareness, and once you know what they look like, remember it and just start talking to them and just say, hey, Victoria, I need your help. I need you with this. I need help finding this program for my computer. And there's a great story in my book about Conrad, about me talking to my guides, particularly, that I won't talk about now because that would take a long time in itself, because I have these stories that are like, they can be a bit long. Anyway, there's a story about Conrad and him showing up in the front of my house in Calgary, Alberta. And he's still a good friend of mine, and he's on my Facebook, Conrad Kardash, on my personal Facebook, and it's absolutely 100% true story. And he's given me permission, to tell that story. And he's a great guy, and we just spoke not that long ago, and we still talk about that story about how he showed up in front of my house. But it all happened because I asked my guides for help. I needed help finding Conrad. I needed him to show up in my life because I was stuck in a certain place, and it had to do with a program that I needed for my computer in 2003, for God's sakes, almost 20 years ago, that I didn't have because you didn't have. I'm going into the story. I better just stop because it's a big one. So this next thing I want to talk about, because I think we got into the spirit guide part here. And again, in the modules, I go deeper and longer, and there's a weekly Facebook Lives for a whole month on this subject, which we can talk about. And I even tune into people's guides and tell them who they are sometimes in when I'm doing my Facebook Lives. Because sometimes I can hear voices for different people and such. So when also guides that are guiding us, but we also have animals that are spiritually connected to us in some ways. And some people may already know which animal resonates with you because you have a soul connection with a certain animal. And it could be that you see the raven every day. And in indigenous culture on the West Coast, the raven is a spiritual animal. Or you see foxes all the time and you love them and you just have a connection to them. Or wolves, or bears, or eagles, or maybe you have a connection to both. And I do feel like there's an animal connection that is for us in life. And now, my indigenous name, which maybe you do not know, is White Eagle Spirit Talker, and I was given to me by an elder, and which I have a spiritual connection to eagles. They show up in my life. I find feathers all the time. It's not an uncommon thing for me. An eagle's wing has come into my life, and I use it for my smudging, etc. And when I get eagle feathers, I gift them out to people. And I pretty much I can go out and find them, and just, if I know I have to gift somebody, I would go and find one and then gift it to a person, because one, I have a good spot, but two, they come to me. And I've given many away through my years to indigenous and non-indigenous people. And I know some indigenous people say, hey, that's bad. But when an indigenous person or an elder gifts you something, I'm not saying I'm an elder. I'm not, because I'm not an elder. I'm getting older, mind you, but I'm not an elder. But when they gift you something, it's based on your spiritual place of life, not on your ethnicity. And I think it's about time that we see through the color of each other's skins. I mean, I'm proud to be an indigenous person, and I'm proud that I actually have some Caucasian people, Irish. I turn a little red when the sun comes out. I'm proud that I have a little bit of Scottish in me, and also a little bit of the Nordic people. But I identify as an indigenous person. And I think we're all probably little mixes of everything. And some might be a little bit more than others, but that's how I identify. And I'm proud of it. But, for me or anyone else to look at anyone at their skin color and say, you can't do this, or this is mine and not anyone else's, I disagree with that. I believe there's culture appropriation. I do, but in certain things, spirit transcends that. If it's helping somebody spiritually, I think it's important that it be shared. And animal totems is how I feel with that. And there's already people very deeply connected to animals now, and you're non-indigenous. And you may not know why you're drawn to certain things. Now, even though I was given the name White Eagle Spirit Talker, probably about like 12 years ago by an elder, that, and I'm very proudful of that name, and it's my indigenous name. But I'm also connected to another animal that identified itself to me. And then I realized that these two animals had two different specific roles in my life. One was to guide me spiritually in some way, which is the eagle. The second is a polar bear. And I'll tell you about a dream I had that I didn't know I had a polar bear connected to me. And actually, the polar bear connected to me and revealed to me that he was protecting me energetically. The white bear, the white polar bear. And I don't know how long ago I had a dream where I was in a field. And I was in this field, and for whatever reason, there was these like 7 shadowy figures that seemed notoriously not good in any way. I'm running through this field, and it's like a clearing. I could see the woods in the distance, but these 7 characters were going to hurt me in some way. So I run from them, and I figure, okay, I just have to outrun them. And as I'm running through the field, and I'm not really making any gains, or I'm not making any ground on them, I see in the distance white bears showing up, and I'm like, oh, great, where the hell are we? Are we in the north? Because why would there be white bears here? Oh my God, they're polar bears. So they start running towards me, and they start running towards all of us, and there's 7 polar bears. So I turn, because you know what? I'd rather be caught by the 7 characters that are notoriously not good in my dream than opposed to the polar bears, because they're just going to tear me to shreds. So I'm running with the bad guys, trying to get away, and I'm trying to outrun them the other way, because if you can outrun them, maybe the bears will get them. I couldn't do it because I'd run so far the other way. I couldn't. I had to surrender to the moment. And then I stood there in my space and place, and I accepted the fact that maybe these bears were going to to destroy me. But it's not what happened. These bears ran past me. And the 7 people that were there to hurt me in some way, each bear jumped on one and they disintegrated. They didn't hurt them. I didn't see anything gross or anything like that. They just vanished. And then all bears turned and looked at me and they became one. And I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, the polar bear is protecting me. I didn't even know. Now I've been working as a psychic medium for, again, like 13, or 20 some years, right? Like, and not even knowing that there was a polar bear connected to me. And, you may not even know who your totem spirit animal is as well. But if you speak and call them on, invite them to show themselves in a dream or in a meditation, they may show up and let you know that they're there. They may do so. And anyway, I prayed to my guides. I prayed to the polar bear. I said, the spirit and the medicine of the polar bear, if you're meant to be in my life, I need you to validate in a very unique way. And I thought, you know what? I'd love to have something from a polar bear. I went on Kijiji, like eBay. Let's say eBay. I went on the eBay and I thought I was going to look up polar bear claws. And I thought, no, I'm not going to buy a real one because that would be horribly wrong to buy something like that online that is not gifted to you in the right way. But I wanted a claw, and that's what I asked from Spirit. So I looked on there for a gold-plated one that was a replica of a polar bear claw. And I thought about buying it, and then Victoria says, don't do it. Just don't buy it. I'm like, okay, you're right. So I said, Spirit, if you're going to validate to me, I need you to send me a polar bear claw, something like that. I know that the white polar bear energy is meant, that medicine is meant to be part of my life. And medicine is the spiritual medicine that you take with you through life, where you help people and you face things, and sometimes negative situations or people or situations within people. Anyway, probably almost 6 months to a year went by. And there's a lady in Spirit Talker tribe named Barbara Kent Bishop, who is from Newfoundland. And she went to Labrador and met an Innu elder who had gifted her 2 polar bear claws. And she said, okay, I have 2. I don't need 2. He says, no, you need 2. And I feel like she knew then intuitively she was to gift it to somebody. And she gifted it to me. And I didn't ask for it. I didn't tell her that I was looking for it. I wasn't telling her that I wanted one. And out of the blue, this came in the mail. And then I knew. So this is going to make me cry because it makes me emotional. And because it was like what I asked. I asked my guides. I asked the spirit of the bear to help me in life. And it showed up in my life. And then somebody shortly after heard that I got the polar bear claw. Lori Curado, who does taxidermy with somebody, came to my home for lunch one day, and she brought me a piece of polar bear fur to wrap my claw in when I sleep. And I'm like, okay, this is another part of a polar bear. It's not a claw, but it's a polar bear. And then not that long ago, maybe 6 months ago, somebody calls me and says, hey, I would really like a reading. I can't afford to pay for one. And I said, well, I don't even do readings anymore. I'm really busy with Spirit Talker Tribe and Spirit Talker TV show. And I just can't, I'm sorry, but I just can't do it. I could reference you to some other people. She says, I really would like it from you. She says, I have a gift for you. I'm like, okay. She goes, I have this old polar bear rug in my closet that I've had forever, and I don't know what to do with it. If I gift it to you, could we exchange it for a reading? And I'm like, yep, I'll do that. So I did a reading for her, and she gifted me the polar bear rug that is like over 10 feet long. It's super massive, and I keep it. And now I have 3 different parts of polar bears that have shown up in my life because I asked for it to come into my life, and it's taken a long time. I know when people have these expectations, when they expect their guide to send them this or that, or their totem animal to send them something, give it time. It takes time for spirit to manifest these things into your life. They just don't appear blah like this. And maybe the Conrad part, yes, the very next day, is in the story in the book. But some things take time, and it's meaningful that it takes time, like the name of your guide or seeing them sometimes. And you have to work at it for a bit of time so that you can value the connection that you have. But when you see them, you just talk to them. You talk to them like they're your best friend. You speak to them. No one's around. Just have a little conversation with them where you're struggling, what you need help with, what you need guidance with, what you need to come into your life. Not out of greed or ego or anything like this. It has to come from a good place in a good way and for a good reason. Not ego to enrich yourself or to do anything in any kind of negative way. It has to be in a way that you're doing it for the right reasons. And that's what I do with speaking to my guides. Now, going back to the dream, there were 7 polar bears there. Now I have 3 parts of different polar bears. I know in time that I'll have 7 parts to different polar bears. And I don't tell anybody I'm looking for it. And I don't want you to send it to me. Just so you know, if you have one, don't do it. I want people that don't know anything about my story to bring it into my life. And I'll know that those bears that I saw are in spirit. Now, they know who I am, and they knew they would be connected to me in this part of my life. And I have 3 parts of the bear now, different ones. There'll be 7 that shows up eventually. And so what I'm saying is that there's spirit animals too that help us or guide us or protect us in a negative situation. You have a power animal. You have a spirit animal that helps you spiritually, like maybe the eagle. And we all have our own, but don't reach for it. Let it show itself to you. Tell spirit, hey, I am open to understand this. I'm open to understanding who my totem spirit and power animals are. Help me to understand so that their medicine can help me in life, to help and serve others, to help protect me, or I can call them in when I'm facing something in life or a situation. And I know that they will protect me and help diminish the negative energy, as what I saw in my dream. And that's what energy is. It's positive or negative, but I mean, it's not all bad. Sometimes we have to go through negative things to learn, to grow, to experience. You can't just have all cupcakes and ice cream just to live the best life. There has to be some struggle and loss sometimes, but it's part of life. That's why we've come here to live it, because we know one day after this life, we're going to return home. And we're going to look back and go, wow, I really struggle with that. Man, I could have did that better. Nobody's judging us. We are judging ourselves. And you can judge yourself enough to not even go there, to not even choose to move into the light. You see it and you go, oh my God, there's something bigger than this. I can't go there. I've done this. I've done that. I'm not going there. I got to find my family. And that's why there's earthbound spirits sometimes. They're just people that have lost their way in life and even in spirit sometimes. And you can even move those people into the light if you get the opportunity. But you approach just like all people. Love, compassion, kindness, courage, respect. You approach physical people that way. You can approach all spirit that way. Be higher level energy. Do you think anybody on the other side is looking down and judging anyone and where they are in life? Absolutely not. I think my spirit guide's probably laughing at me a few times because of doing this stupid thing or doing that or whatever, because it's like, ugh, yeah, oh well, he'll get it next time. But your guides are with you, and it's really important to nourish a relationship with them and speak to them and include them in your life, and asking them for help when you need it. And that's why I've given you the spirit guide meditation as a download, is because I know you're going to enjoy it. Now, I don't want to ramble on too much, but I want to get into angels a tiny bit here, and I do have a whole module on angels. But angels, and I wasn't sure about angels for a long time. And a lot of mediums don't even talk about angels because they think it might be all biblical. And it's like anything biblical can't be real, right? And people are like, oh, spirit is different than religion. Yes, but angels didn't make themselves part of religion. religion brought in angels and said, hey, you're with us here. Michael and, Raphael and all those other names that are pretty cool and unique and stuff, like Gabriel, which I have up there, who I've made a connection to, who's made a connection to me. He's the only real angel that I've actually heard from or ever spoke to me, and I've seen him. Didn't see wings, mind you, but apparently they do have wings from what my understanding for other people. But they actually exist. And how I know this is because they've connected to me. And there is a story about Gabriel connected to me in my book. And it's a very, very cool story. I won't get into it because it's in the actual online teaching module. But I will talk to you about another little place I was going to where I heard another earthbound spirit in Nova Scotia at an old concrete plant. And it brought a bunch of people with me because I went there before, and there was a man who lost his life there and had not moved on. And I actually recorded him speaking to me way back in the day. I've lost that recording, unfortunately. I think my ex-wife was mad and deleted things on me at that time, which it is what it is. But I lost that EVP of the man I spoke to at the concrete plant. But I did have a recording of him, and he was telling me to leave him alone and just leave, because he was stuck in this kind of like heaviness of energy and depression. And I always meant to go back and see if I could like re-help him. So I wanted to bring people with me, and some Spirit Talker tribers that were local in Nova Scotia that are developing mediums, because I want to help developing mediums like Ann Bennett and, Elaine Hale. And there was a bunch of people there with us. And I just want you to know that, when I was there, they were coming with me. But me and Ann and Kelly Robinson was there as well. But Kelly was back a little bit. It was just me and Ann walking up in the front. And as we were walking up in the front, we were just to the building. There were some signs that say danger, no trespassing. And anyway, there's in the voice, because I have it in the announcement section as well, you're going to hear Victoria speak again. Because Ann says, you think it's a warning just to keep us safe. That's a real person. That's Ann Bennett speaking. But right after Ann says that, a guide tells me to summon angels. Now, why would somebody in spirit talk about angels if they don't exist? Why would my guide talk about them if they don't exist? Because they do. And it's nice to actually have an audio recording where I have a guide saying very quickly, it's a 3-second clip where you'll hear Ann Bennett very quickly say, do you think these are warning signs to keep us safe? And then she's nervous because Ann has this thing with earthbound spirits. I'm helping her overcome her fear because they're just people, and you can help them. Just like physical living people, you can help move their energy so they can move into the spirit world. Now, mostly what I teach in Spirit Talker Tribe Year 1 is about serving physical people. Year 2, I talk about moving into helping and serving earthbound spirits and transitioning them. I do touch on it in Year 1, but not to the depth that I do in Year 2 of Spirit Talker Tribe, because I have a Year 1, 2 Spirit Talker Tribe and Year 2. And but we're talking about Year 1 right now because this is where everybody needs to be. But anyway, Ann's nervous, and she says that, but then you hear Victoria chime in and say, "Summon angels." And so it's meaning that if she's nervous, she can call in the angels to help protect her and keep her safe. It'd be very much like your totem animals that you were calling in, or your spirit guides. You can call in the team. And I say, with higher level of energy, when we move into the light, and if you're not sure, start listening to stories about near-death experiences of people who have died for a short time, have come back, and have met guides or angels or etc. And I haven't died, and I'm recording my guide talking about angels, and I'm hearing my guide at that. They're absolutely there. And what a great gift in life to have a connection to your spirit guide or guides. They could have a weird name. Most of them have common names. Like I have Sam, Victoria, and I've gotten a new one in the last year named Eliza, who I never even knew she was around. I don't think I have any more than that. I don't need any more than that, to be honest. But I don't even hear Eliza, but she also connected to me a dream, and I've recorded my guides talking amongst each other about, and they were talking to Eliza and called her by name. So she is absolutely there. So it's their spirits are there. And what I would say is maybe, and I maybe won't go there yet because I'll teach it in the course, because I want you to know what you need to do before you start calling upon spirits, in a sense, to record them and stuff like that, so that you can actually capture the voices if you wanted to on a digital recorder or whatever. But they're there. They'll speak. You can record them sometimes speaking to them. You may think they're EVPs, but when you hear somebody who's coming from the light, they come with love, intention, clarity. There's no shadiness. There's no ego. That doesn't exist with people on the other side. If you catch an EVP of someone else, like talking like with fear, like leave or go away or whatever, that's probably an earthbound spirit. Again, just some grumpy person that's stuck to the earth and clinging to who they think they are in some way. And they may even think they're evil, for God's sakes, but they're just people with a belief system, thinking that there's something that they're really not, that there's something greater, but they don't know it. And that's so unfortunate. It's just like living people clinging to thinking that they're bad or horrible, or they're depressed because they're beating themselves up about how they look or how they feel for whatever reason, or that they've been sexually assaulted in life and struggle with that, and then hurt themselves, and then try to commit suicide a few times. I've run into all kinds of people in all walks of life that have been through everything. And they're just people, and I have compassion for them. And moving in this way of this work, that's my approach. And if there's nobody that is in alignment with that approach, then this course probably isn't for you. Because that is my approach in all ways, and it works really well. And as far as I know, and not to toot my own egoistic psychic horn, but I'm pretty good at what I do. And I'm pretty good at connecting the spirit, and I'm pretty clear with the messages that come through. And it's because I operate from that space. And I think when you operate from that space too, you'll notice that, fear has no power in your life. People that carry it have no power in your life. That you operate and walk in a different way. In much, you grow an inch, you actually become taller because you stand with more pride in your life as well. And I think they're all good assets and traits. So this is where we're going to leave it, because we're over the hour here, and I don't want to keep two people up all night. But I wanted to talk about spirit guides, power animal totems, spirit totems, angels, and I wanted to give you a spirit guide meditation. It's in the announcement section of the Spirit Talker Tribe interest group. And there's also the voices of my guide, Victoria, speaking to Howard Carter, and the voice of Victoria talking after Anne, saying that, hey, summon the angels. Those are all there for you to listen to, so you can kind of hear what spirit sounds like sometimes when you hear them with your ears. It's a little bit different in your mind when you hear spirit. And that, again, is like something I'll talk about down the road, because that's the language of spirit. That's that clairaudient ability to hear spirit in your mind sometimes when they speak to you. And it's just like thoughts that pop in your head, and you, like Edna, right? And Isabel, or whatever names that come in your mind. And I know they're probably connected. There's an Edna, there's a really old name. So there's an Edna and an Isabel that are connected that wants to say hi to somebody, but I know they're here for someone. And somebody named Butch too. Butch says hi. Feels like a man, but it's a nickname, he says. But again, he just wants to say hi to somebody here too. And Alice, or Allison too, she says hi, because spirits can get into my head, and they're just people, and they can connect to me anywhere, and they can connect to you too. But it's good to have a base before you start making connections, knowing how to pray, how to meditate, how to make connections to your guides, your angels, how to smudge yourself, how to expand and shrink your aura before you start moving into spirit connection. And that's why a course like Spirit Talker Tribe is important. Registration's open right now. You can go to my website, sean-leonard.com. Go to the Spirit Talker Tribe tab, register today. If you register before the 14th, or even on the 14th, on the 15th, on our next Facebook Live, I think we're having a Facebook Live on the 13th. So I will announce that the winner in the Facebook group, Spirit Talker Tribe Facebook group, of who has won a reading with me. And I will do it eventually, as I'm pretty busy. But I have a list, Right now, I'll tell you how many people are on my list. It's a very short list. I know I have the list here somewhere. It's 4 people. I know it's 4 people somewhere here. For the love of God, where the hell did it go? There it is. Right now, I have 3 people on my list, actually. You would be the 4th to get a reading from me. So when I go down the list, these people like Kara Bodden, Dina Ransom, and Audra Limit McCarrick are all have 1 readings with me because they're in Spirit Talker Tribe. Every month in Spirit Talker Tribe, I draw a name for somebody to win a reading. Every month, I try to draw T-shirts if I have them. And if you haven't got my book, post in the comments, I don't have your book, Sean, and I'll pick one and I'll announce it for the next Facebook Live, which is about dreams. And if you have a really, really cool dream that you don't understand what it means, submit it to my email address. And I'm going to talk about some of those dreams, not all those dreams. So if you submit it and I don't talk about it, I'm sorry, I'm going to be bombarded literally with 300 or 400 dreams. And I'll have to go through them and use my intuition as to which one are the best ones to talk about, to teach something to you about dreams for the next Facebook Live. And the next Facebook Live is, again, let me just see, is Monday, September 13th at 9 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. And yeah, if this stuff speaks to you, interests you, and this is something that you feel moving inside your heart and your spirit, and you feel like that you would like to be part of a training course like this, please think about joining Spirit Talker Tribe online course, which is like an 11-month and 1-week program, but it's 12 teaching modules. Please sign up. But if you can't afford it, you could always wait till next year if you have to, because I do it every year. But it's always good to do it now, more so than wait. But even if you don't want to do it, you can still join me in this month in this tribe, the interest group, for the free Facebook Live teachings and the giveaways and things that I do leading up to October 1st. But then after then, I archived this group and I moved all of my Facebook Lives, like exactly what I'm doing right now, how I'm teaching, what I'm talking about, and on the specific subjects that are on my website in the student-only Facebook group, just so you know. But I just want to say thank you. Let me just see a few people. Kimberly, Hoadley, Eleanor Paul, Rhoda Levi, Babs Hallman, Catherine Hines, Deba Carew, Daniela Hizak, Carolyn Mitchell, and there was like 400 and some people here tonight. I want to thank every single one of you. Angela Trider, thank you. Barb Naveau, thank you all for being here tonight and allowing me to share some of my teachings, some of my experiences, and helping you understand something that maybe you have never experienced before, and maybe taking steps that you can go there. Like in the first Facebook Live, prayer, meditation, now doing meditation to connect to your guide, and also just speaking to them once you make a connection. Don't feel like you have to continue to do the meditation, because that's ridiculous. You just need to talk to them because they're there. So you guys all have an amazing night. I love you guys all. I know we're all come from the same place, the same source. And I'm going to say Wilalio, which in Mi'kmaq means thank you, everyone. Wilalik, and Emsit Nogala, which also means all my relations. Because again, no matter what our skin color is, how light or dark we are, I'm pretty light for a native guy myself, but we're all related. We're all family, and we're all here with a similar purpose to live our best life, to do the best we can, and then return home one day. And hopefully we do it with grace, honor, peace, and we live our best lives. So you guys all have an amazing week, and I'll see you for the next Facebook Live.